Have you ever had a moment that divided your life into before and after? A single night that changed everything you thought you knew about yourself, about someone you loved, about what was possible? This is the story of that night for me. The night my best friend Marcus stayed over, and everything we'd carefully built between us, all those walls, all those unspoken rules, came crashing down in the most beautiful, terrifying way imaginable. This is a true story about love, friendship, courage, and discovering that sometimes the person you've been searching for has been right beside you all along. If you've ever loved someone you thought you couldn't have, or hidden a part of yourself you were afraid to show, this story is for you. Before we begin, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss parts 2 and 3 of this journey. And if this story touches your heart, leave a comment below. I read every single one. Now, let's go back to where it all began. The rain started just as I pulled into my apartment complex parking lot, fat droplets exploding against my windshield like tiny water balloons. I sat there for a moment, watching the world blur behind streams of water, thinking about how appropriate it was that the weather matched my mood, heavy, unsettled, on the verge of something. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Dude, I'm drowning out here, you home? I typed back quickly, just pulled in, come up. Marcus Chen had been my best friend since our sophomore year at State University, when we'd been randomly assigned as roommates. That was 6 years ago. 6 years of late-night study sessions that turned into philosophical debates, of inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else, of being each other's person through breakups and family drama and quarter-life crises. 6 years of me carefully, meticulously, hiding the fact that I was completely, devastatingly in love with him. I'd gotten good at it, expert level really. I could listen to him talk about his girlfriend problems without my smile faltering. I could clap him on the back in that casual, bros way without letting my hand linger. I could exist in his orbit, close enough to feel his warmth, but never close enough to burn. By the time I made it to my third-floor apartment, Marcus was already at my door, soaked through despite the umbrella he was holding. His black hair was plastered to his forehead, and his glasses, those round, wire-rimmed frames that made him look like a hot librarian, not that I'd ever tell him that, were spotted with rain. You look like a drowned rat, I said, unlocking the door. You look like someone who's been sitting in a car avoiding the rain like a coward, he shot back, but he was grinning. That smile that always did something complicated to my chest. Smart, not cowardly, there's a difference. I held the door open wider. Come on, you're making a puddle. My apartment was small, a one-bedroom I'd been renting since landing my graphic design job at a marketing firm downtown, but I'd made it mine. Movie posters covered the walls, mostly classics. Moonlight, Call Me By Your Name, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Marcus had helped me hang them last year, making jokes about my artistic sensibilities, while I tried not to stare at the way his arms looked in that tank top. Showers through there, I said, gesturing to my bedroom. You know where the towels are, I'll make coffee. You're an angel, Ethan, seriously. He was already stripping off his wet jacket, and I very deliberately turned toward the kitchen before I could watch him peel off anything else. The familiar ritual of making coffee gave me something to do with my hands. I'd been on edge all week, ever since Marcus had texted to say he and his girlfriend Rachel had broken up. Again, for the third time in 8 months. He'd been cryptic about the details, just not working out, he'd said, but I knew him well enough to sense there was more to it. Part of me felt guilty for the tiny spark of hope that ignited whenever they broke up. What kind of friend was I, taking secret satisfaction in his pain? But I couldn't help it. Every time they split, there was this brief window where I could pretend that maybe, possibly, if I was brave enough to say something. But I never did, because Marcus was straight. Capital S straight. I'd seen his dating history. He'd never once mentioned being interested in guys. And more importantly, he was my best friend, and I wasn't about to nuke the most important relationship in my life because I couldn't keep my feelings in check. You got any clothes I can borrow? Marcus called from my bedroom. Everything in my gym bag is dirty. Dresser, second drawer, I called back. Help yourself. I heard him moving around, drawers opening and closing, tried not to picture him in my space, in my clothes, skin still damp from the shower. I gripped the counter and took a steadying breath. This was fine, this was normal. Marcus had stayed over dozens of times, crashing on my couch after late movie nights or when he was too tired to drive home to his place across town. We had a system, a comfortable routine. Tonight would be no different. Except when he emerged from my bedroom 15 minutes later, something felt different. He was wearing my clothes, grey sweatpants that fit him perfectly and a faded college t-shirt that stretched across his shoulders in a way that made my mouth go dry. His hair was still damp, pushed back from his face, and he'd taken off his glasses to clean them. Without them, his eyes, dark brown and deeper than they had any right to be, seemed even more intense. "Coffee smells amazing," he said, padding into the kitchen on bare feet. I handed him a mug, the one with the stupid pun about espresso that he'd bought me for my birthday, and watched him take that first grateful sip. He closed his eyes, and something about the gesture was so unguarded, so trusting, that my heart clenched. "So," I said, settling onto the couch with my own mug, "you want to talk about it?" Marcus sighed and sank down beside me, close enough that I could smell my shampoo in his hair. "About Rachel. Unless you've got another recent breakup I don't know about." He huffed a laugh, but there was no real humor in it. "No, Rachel's enough drama for one lifetime." He stared into his coffee like it might have answers. "We want different things, that's what she said." "What things?" "I don't know, man, everything." He set his mug on the coffee table and ran both hands through his hair, a gesture I'd learned meant he was frustrated, conflicted. "She wants to move faster, talking about moving in together, about long-term plans. And every time she brings it up, I just freeze. I can't picture it, not with her. Not with her specifically, or not with anyone." It was a bold question, bolder than I usually allowed myself, but something in the air tonight felt different. Permission to dig deeper. Marcus looked at me, and there was something in his expression I couldn't quite read. Vulnerability, maybe, or fear. That's the thing I've been trying to figure out. Thunder rumbled outside, and the rain intensified, drumming against the windows. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. Marcus didn't seem to notice. He was still looking at me with that strange, intense expression. "Can I tell you something?" he asked quietly. "Something I haven't told anyone else." My heart started beating faster. "Of course, always." He took a breath, let it out slowly. I think maybe the reason I can't picture a future with Rachel or with any of the girls I've dated is because I've been comparing them all to someone else. Someone I can't have." The room suddenly felt very small, very warm. I couldn't breathe properly. "Marcus." "Let me finish," he said quickly, not quite meeting my eyes now. "I need to say this before I lose my nerve. I've been trying to figure this out for months, maybe longer, why nothing ever feels right, why I keep sabotaging my relationships, he paused, swallowed hard, why I'd rather spend time with you than with anyone I'm supposed to be attracted to." The world tilted sideways. This couldn't be happening. I had to be misunderstanding him. "What are you saying?" I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Marcus finally looked at me, really looked at me, and his eyes were shining with something that looked like tears. Or terror, or both. "I'm saying that I think I've been lying to myself about who I am, about what I want." His voice cracked. "About who He stopped, shook his head. "God, I can't believe I'm doing this." "Marcus," I set my mug down before I could drop it. "You're my best friend. You can tell me anything, you know that." "Can I?" He laughed, but it sounded broken. "Because what I want to tell you could ruin everything between us, and you're the one person I can't afford to lose." My entire body was vibrating with tension, with hope. With fear, "You're not going to lose me. You don't know what I'm about to say." "Then say it." The silence stretched between us, heavy with 6 years of unspoken words, of careful distance, of want and fear tangled together until they were indistinguishable. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting to either fly or fall. Marcus closed his eyes, took one more breath, and jumped. I think I'm in love with you, Ethan. I think I have been for a long time. And I'm terrified because I don't know what that means about me, about us, about everything I thought I knew about myself. But I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I couldn't keep dating people. I don't want just to prove something that isn't true. I needed you to know. The words hung in the air between us, impossible and perfect and world-shattering. I couldn't speak, couldn't think, could only stare at him, at Marcus, my best friend, the person I'd loved silently for 6 years, and try to process the fact that he was looking at me the way I'd always dreamed he might, with want, with fear, with hope. Say something, he whispered. Please, Ethan, say something, even if it's that I've made a huge mistake. Just say something. I found my voice, though it came out rough and uncertain. You love me. Yes, no hesitation now. I love you. I'm in love with you. And I know this is probably the worst possible way to tell you, and I'm still figuring out what this means for my identity, but I couldn't. I kissed him. I didn't plan it, didn't think about it. One moment, I was sitting there trying to remember how breathing worked, and the next, I was closing the distance between us, cupping his face in my hands and pressing my lips to his. For a heartbeat, Marcus froze, and then he melted into me, his hands coming up to grip my shirt, a sound escaping him that was part relief and part surrender. The kiss was soft, tentative, both of us learning the shape of something we'd never dared to reach for. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus pressed his forehead against mine. His glasses were fogged up. He was laughing and crying at the same time. I take it that means, he started. I've been in love with you since junior year, I said, my own voice thick with emotion. Since that night, you stayed up until 4 a.m. helping me finish my portfolio for that internship application. I've been in love with you so long, I forgot what it felt like not to love you. Ethan, my name was a prayer, a confession, a promise all at once. We are going to figure this out, I told him, wiping away the tears on his cheeks with my thumbs. Together, however you need to, whatever this means for you, we'll figure it out. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too. But I don't want to go back to pretending. Then don't. He kissed me again, and this time it was deeper, more certain. Outside, the storm continued its assault on the city, but inside my small apartment, wrapped in each other's arms, we'd finally found shelter from the fear and loneliness we'd both been carrying for too long. This was the beginning, I realized, the real beginning. Everything before this moment had been prologue. Everything after would be a story we wrote together. I didn't know what the next chapter would bring, how Marcus would navigate this new understanding of himself, how we would transition from friendship to something more, what challenges we'd face from the world around us or from our own doubts and fears. But for now, in this moment, with rain painting patterns on the windows and Marcus's heartbeat steady against my chest, none of that mattered. What mattered was that we'd finally been brave enough to speak the truth, to reach for each other instead of holding back. What mattered was that I was holding the person I loved, and for the first time in 6 years, he was holding me back. Previously on My Straight Best Friend Slept Over, Marcus confessed his feelings for Ethan, revealing that he'd been questioning his identity and realized he was in love with his best friend. Ethan, who had secretly loved Marcus for 6 years, kissed him. Now, let's see what happens when they wake up to their new reality. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my bedroom curtains and Marcus Chen's face inches from mine on the pillow. For a disorienting moment, I thought I was dreaming. But no, the weight of his arm across my waist was real, the soft sound of his breathing was real, the way my t-shirt he was wearing had ridden up to expose a strip of his stomach was devastatingly, dangerously real. Last night had been real. The confession, the kiss, the hours we'd spent on the couch afterward, talking about everything and nothing, kissing until our lips were swollen, pulling apart just to look at each other with wonder and disbelief. Around 2 a.m. I'd suggested we move to the bed. Just to sleep, I'd emphasized, and Marcus had nodded, both of us understanding without saying it that we needed to take this slow, that there was no rush, that what we had was too important to risk by moving too fast. So we'd fallen asleep facing each other, hands intertwined between us, and it had felt like the most intimate thing I'd ever experienced. Marcus's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he looked confused. Then his gaze focused on me, and his whole face transformed. That smile, God, that smile. I'd seen Marcus smile 1,000 times, but never like this. Never for me, because of me. "Hi," he whispered. "Hi yourself." I squeezed his hand. "How are you feeling?" He took a moment to consider the question, really think about it. "Terrified," he admitted, "but also happy. Is that weird, to be terrified and happy at the same time?" "Not weird at all." I shifted closer, and he mirrored the movement until there was no space between us. "What are you terrified of?" "Everything." He huffed a laugh against my shoulder. "That I'm going to be bad at this. That people will judge me, judge you, judge us. That I'm going to hurt you because I'm still figuring this out. That maybe I'm being selfish, dragging you into my identity crisis." "Hey," I tilted his chin up so he had to look at me. "First of all, you're not dragging me anywhere. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Second, you're not going to be bad at this, at us, because we're figuring it out together. There's no script, no right way to do this. We just try, we communicate, we give each other grace." "Grace," Marcus repeated softly. "I like that." "And as for people judging us," I pressed a kiss to his forehead, "let them. Their opinions don't define us. The only people who matter are in this bed right now." Marcus buried his face in my neck, and I felt him smile against my skin. "When did you become so wise?" "I've had 6 years to think about what I'd say if I ever got the chance to be with you. I've mentally rehearsed this conversation about 1,000 times." He pulled back to look at me, his expression soft. "What else did you rehearse?" "Wouldn't you like to know?" I teased, but then I grew serious. "Marcus, I need you to understand something. However long it takes you to figure out your identity, whatever label you end up using or not using, I'm here. If you decide you're gay or bisexual or queer, or if you decide labels don't fit, I don't care. What matters to me is that you're happy, that you're comfortable, that you feel free to be yourself." His eyes were suspiciously bright. "How did I get so lucky to have you as my best friend and now this?" "I'm the lucky one. We can both be lucky. Deal." We stayed in bed longer than we probably should have, talking about everything we needed to figure out. How to tell our friends, whether to tell our families right away or wait. How to navigate physical intimacy when Marcus was still exploring what he wanted. What this meant for our friendship. Could we preserve what we'd had while building something new? "I don't want to lose the friendship part," Marcus said at one point, his voice anxious. "Like, you're still my person, right? We can still have movie marathons and make fun of each other and debate whether hands shot first." "Of course, Marcus, we're not replacing our friendship. We are adding to it, expanding it. You're still my person. You'll always be my person, just now I get to kiss you too." As if to prove the point, I kissed him, soft and sweet, and felt him smile against my lips. Eventually, real life intruded. Marcus's phone buzzed with messages from his sister asking where he was. My stomach growled loudly enough that we both laughed. The spell of our bubble had to break, at least temporarily. "I should probably go home, shower, change into clothes that are actually mine," Marcus said reluctantly as we stood in my kitchen, nursing coffee. He was wearing his jeans from yesterday, but kept my t-shirt on. And something about seeing him in my clothes made my heart clench with possessive affection. "Keep the shirt," I said impulsively. "Yes. Yeah, it looks better on you anyway." The smile he gave me was worth everything. But at the door, as he was about to leave, Marcus hesitated. His hand was on the doorknob, but he wasn't turning it. The sunshine that had seemed so promising that morning had given way to clouds again, and the hallway beyond my door looked grey and uncertain. "What if I mess this up?" he asked quietly, not looking at me. "What if I get scared and pull away, or realize I'm not ready for this, or—" "Then we'll deal with it," I said firmly, moving to stand behind him, wrapping my arms around his waist. "Marcus, I'm not expecting perfection. I'm not expecting you to have everything figured out. I just need honesty. If you're scared, tell me. If you need space, tell me. If you're having doubts, tell me. We'll work through it. He turned in my arms, his expression vulnerable. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. It's actually probably going to be really complicated and messy, but it's worth it. You're worth it. Marcus kissed me then, deep and intense, like he was trying to memorize the taste of me, the feel of me. When he finally pulled away, his eyes were determined. Okay, he said. Okay, we can do this. We can do this, I echoed. After he left, my apartment felt too quiet, too empty. I caught myself smiling at random moments as I cleaned up breakfast, as I showered, as I tried to focus on some freelance design work. My phone buzzed constantly, Marcus sending me random thoughts, observations, memes that made me laugh out loud. Marcus, I just realized I've been smiling at my phone like an idiot for 10 minutes, and my sister is looking at me like I've lost my mind. Me, have you told her? Marcus, not yet, soon. I want to figure out what to say first. Is it weird that I'm more nervous about telling people than I was about telling you? Me, not weird. I'm your safe space. The world can be scarier, but we'll face it together, remember. Marcus, together, I like the sound of that. That evening, Marcus came back over. We'd planned to watch a movie, maintaining some semblance of normalcy, but we barely made it 15 minutes in before we were kissing again. It was intoxicating, this new freedom to touch him, to express everything I'd been bottling up for years. But I was also acutely aware of Marcus's inexperience with men, of the fact that this was all new territory for him. So when his breathing started to quicken, when his hands began to wander under my shirt, I gently caught his wrists. Hey, I said softly, let's slow down a little. Marcus pulled back, his face flushed, eyes dark with want. Did I do something wrong? No, God, no. I just want to make sure you're comfortable, that we're not rushing into physical stuff before you're ready. He bit his lip, considering, what if I want to rush? Then I'm the responsible one who says we should take our time. I kissed his nose, making him smile. Marcus, I've waited 6 years for you. I can wait a little longer to make sure we're both ready for every step. There's no deadline here. We move at whatever pace feels right for you. Something in Marcus's expression softened, and he cupped my face in his hands. You know what? Rachel used to get frustrated with me for not being ready to move faster. She said I was emotionally unavailable, that I was holding back. But with you, you're the one asking me to slow down, making sure I'm comfortable. And somehow that makes me want to go faster because I feel safe with you. That's how it should be, I said. Safe, comfortable, no pressure. I love you, Marcus said suddenly, fiercely. I know I said it last night, but I need you to know I meant it. This isn't some experiment or crisis. I love you, Ethan Park. I'm in love with you. Hearing my full name from his lips, said with such conviction and tenderness, nearly undid me. I love you too, so much it scares me sometimes. Yes. Yeah, I love you so much that I'd rather have you in my life as just my friend than risk losing you by pushing too hard. That's how important you are to me. Marcus's eyes were wet. We're not going to lose each other, I promise you that. Whatever happens, whatever we figure out about me and my identity, we're not losing this. We settled back into the couch, my arm around his shoulders, his head on my chest, and actually managed to watch the rest of the movie. But I wasn't really paying attention to the screen. I was too busy marveling at the fact that this was real, that Marcus was here, that he loved me back. Over the next few days, we fell into a new rhythm. Marcus would come over after work, and we'd cook dinner together or order takeout, or sometimes just sit on my balcony talking about our days. We kissed a lot on the couch, in the kitchen, pressed against the door when he arrived or when he left. But we also maintained the foundation of our friendship, the easy banter, the shared jokes, the comfortable silences. Marcus was slowly getting more comfortable with the physical aspects of our relationship, initiating touches, stealing kisses. But I could also see him wrestling with bigger questions about his identity, about how to tell people, about what this meant for his future. One night, about a week after that first confession, Marcus showed up at my door looking shaken. I told my sister, he said as soon as I let him in. About us, about me. My heart jumped into my throat. How did it go? She cried, Marcus said, and my stomach dropped. But then he smiled. Happy tears. She said she wondered if I was queer but didn't want to pressure me to label myself. She said she's happy for me, for us. She wants to meet you officially, like, as my boyfriend. Boyfriend, I repeated, the word feeling both foreign and perfectly right. Is that what we are? I'd like to be, Marcus said, suddenly shy. If you want to be. I pulled him close, kissed him soundly. I've wanted to be your boyfriend since I knew what the word meant. So it's official. It's official, Marcus Chen, you are officially my boyfriend. And you're mine, he grinned, that beautiful, uninhibited grin that made my heart soar. I have a boyfriend. Holy shit, I have a boyfriend. We spent that night celebrating, nothing dramatic, just pizza and terrible reality TV and the simple joy of being together, officially, without pretense or hiding. When Marcus left around midnight, he paused at the door again, but this time there was no hesitation in his eyes. Thank you, he said simply. For what? For being patient with me, for making this feel safe, for loving me even when I didn't know how to love myself. Always, I promised, I'm always going to love you. As I watched him walk to his car, waving at me from the parking lot, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. We still had challenges ahead, coming out to more people, navigating the reactions we'd inevitably face, helping Marcus continue to explore his identity, but we were doing it together. And together, we could face anything. Previously, Marcus officially came out to his sister and asked Ethan to be his boyfriend. They're navigating their new relationship with tenderness and patience, but now it's time to face the wider world. The restaurant was loud, crowded with the usual Friday night chaos, but at our corner table, everything felt suspended in anticipation. Marcus's hand was on the table, close to mine but not quite touching. Around us, our friend group, 5 people we'd both known since college, were laughing about something that happened at work, completely unaware that everything was about to change. It had been 3 weeks since that rainy night. 3 weeks of sneaking kisses when no one was watching, of Marcus staying over more nights than he went home, of learning each other in ways that felt both brand new and like we'd been doing this forever. 3 weeks of existing in a bubble where only we mattered. But bubbles had to burst, eventually. So Marcus, Jessica said, pointing a fry at him across the table, I heard through the grapevine that you and Rachel officially called it quits, for real this time. I felt Marcus tense beside me. We'd planned this, decided that tonight we'd tell our friends together, but planning something and doing it were very different things. Yeah, Marcus said, his voice steady, we did, about a month ago now. You doing okay? Tyler asked, genuine concern in his voice. Breakups suck, man. Actually, I'm better than okay. Marcus took a breath, and I felt his hand brush against mine under the table, seeking reassurance. I linked our fingers together, hidden from view. There's a reason Rachel and I didn't work out, a reason none of my relationships have really worked out. The table went quiet. I could see our friends exchanging glances, confused but listening. I've been figuring some things out about myself, Marcus continued. His voice was getting stronger, more confident, about my identity, and I realized that I've been trying to fit myself into a box that was never right for me. Marcus, I said quietly, you don't have to. I want to, he squeezed my hand, then did something I didn't expect. He pulled our joined hands up onto the table, visible to everyone. Ethan and I are together, like together. I'm bisexual or maybe gay, I'm still figuring that part out, but what I do know is that I'm in love with him, and I needed you all to know. The silence that followed felt infinite. I watched our friends' faces cycle through surprise, confusion, and then, slowly, understanding. Jessica's mouth was hanging open. Tyler's eyebrows had disappeared into his hairline. Priya looked like she was trying not to smile. It was David who spoke first. Wait, you too, like romantic you too. Yes, I said, finding my voice, romantic us too. Since when? Jessica demanded. Officially, about 3 weeks, Marcus said, but if we're being honest, I think it's been building for a lot longer than that. I just wasn't ready to acknowledge it. Another beat of silence. Then Priya started laughing, not cruel laughter, but delighted, almost relieved laughter. I fucking knew it, she exclaimed, slapping the table. I told David like 2 years ago that you two had feelings for each other, but he said I was seeing things that weren't there. You never said that to me, David protested. Because you're oblivious, Priya turned to us, her smile warm. I'm happy for you guys, like genuinely, seriously happy. You make sense together. You're not weirded out? Marcus asked hesitantly. I mean, I know this is probably a surprise. I thought I was straight for 27 years. Surprised, sure, Tyler said thoughtfully. But weird? Nah man, you're still you. And honestly, if you're happy, that's what matters. Plus, Ethan's been mooning over you since forever. It's about time you figured it out. I felt my face heat up. Was I that obvious? To everyone but Marcus, apparently, Jessica said, and there was warmth in her voice now too. So this is real, like you're really together. We're really together, I confirmed, squeezing Marcus's hand on the table. The rest of the dinner was filled with questions, some awkward, some sweet, all well-intentioned. How did it happen? Who made the first move? Were we going to move in together? What did our families think? That last question made Marcus's smile falter slightly. My sister knows and she's supportive. My parents, I haven't told them yet. But you're going to? Priya asked gently. Yes, soon. I just need to figure out how. Walking to the car afterward, Marcus was buzzing with anxious energy. That went well, right? I mean, they seemed okay with it, supportive even. They were amazing, I assured him, pressing a kiss to his temple right there in the parking lot, not caring who saw. You were amazing. I was terrified. I know, but you did it anyway. That's courage, Marcus. He stopped walking, turned to face me. The parking lot lights cast shadows across his face, but his eyes were bright. I couldn't have done it without you there, knowing you were beside me, that you had my back. That made all the difference. I'll always have your back. Promise. Promise. The real test came 2 weeks later when Marcus decided it was time to tell his parents. I'd met the Chens many times over the years, polite, traditional, loving in a reserved way. Marcus was their only son, their pride and joy, the kid who'd gotten the scholarship and the good job and followed all the rules. Breaking those rules, revealing this truth, was terrifying for him. What if they disown me? Marcus asked the night before the planned visit, lying in my arms in bed. We'd fallen into the habit of spending most nights together now, though we'd been careful to keep taking things slow physically. What if they say they can't accept this? Then they'll be missing out on seeing their son truly happy for the first time in his life, I said firmly. And it will break your heart and you'll grieve that loss, but you'll survive it, because you're strong and you're not alone. You really think I'm happy, like truly happy? I pulled back to look at him, making sure he could see the sincerity in my eyes. Marcus, you glow now, you smile more, laugh more, you're more yourself than I've ever seen you. So yes, I think you're happy, are you? He considered this, then nodded slowly. I am, even with all the scary stuff, all the uncertainty, I'm happier than I've ever been, because I get to be me, and I get to be with you. Then whatever happens with your parents, hold on to that truth. The next evening, Marcus went to his parents' house alone. I'd offered to come with him, but he'd shaken his head. This is something I need to do by myself, he'd said. So I waited at my apartment, trying and failing to focus on anything other than my phone. 3 hours later, Marcus came back. I knew the moment I saw his face that it hadn't gone well. They need time, he said, his voice flat, emotionless in that way that meant he was holding back tears. They said they love me, but they can't. They don't understand. They think it's a phase, or that I'm confused, or that you somehow influenced me. Marcus! My mom cried. My dad just kept shaking his head like I'd told him I committed a crime. Now the tears came, spilling down his cheeks. They asked me not to flaunt it, to not tell extended family, to really think about whether this is what I want. I pulled him into my arms, holding him while he broke apart. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. They're my parents, he sobbed into my shoulder. They're supposed to love me unconditionally, but their love has conditions, it has limits. That's on them, not you. Your love, your identity, your truth, none of that is wrong. They're the ones who need to grow, to learn, to expand their capacity for love. And maybe they will in time, but even if they don't, you are not less worthy of love. We stayed up all night, talking through his pain, his anger, his grief. I held him while he cried, brought him water when his voice got hoarse, made him tea that he didn't drink. And when the sun finally rose, painting my bedroom in shades of gold and pink, Marcus lifted his head from my chest and said something that broke and healed my heart simultaneously. I don't regret it. Even knowing how they reacted, I don't regret telling them. Because living honestly, being able to be myself, being with you, that's worth more than their approval. It hurts like hell, but I'd rather have this pain than go back to hiding. You're incredible, I whispered, kissing his forehead. You know that. I'm a mess. You're an incredible mess, my incredible mess. That made him smile just a little. Yours. Mine, if you'll have me. Always. In the weeks that followed, Marcus's parents slowly, cautiously began to come around. His sister Emma became a fierce advocate, talking to them, sharing resources about LGBTQ+ identity, refusing to let them pretend this wasn't real. It wasn't a dramatic transformation. There was no tearful reunion where they apologized and welcomed me with open arms. But there were small steps. A text message asking how Marcus was doing. An invitation to Sunday dinner where they were stiffly polite to me. His mother accidentally referring to me as Marcus's friend, then catching herself and saying boyfriend with visible effort. It's progress, Marcus said after one of these dinners, and I could hear him trying to convince himself as much as me. Slow progress, but progress. It is, I agreed, and I'm proud of them for trying, even if it's hard. But Marcus, you don't owe them your energy while they figure this out. If it's too painful, you're allowed to take space. I know, but they're my parents. I want them in my life if possible. I want them to eventually see what I see when I look at you. And what's that? Home, he said simply. I see home. 3 months after that rainy night that changed everything, Marcus moved into my apartment officially. His lease was up, and the decision felt natural, inevitable. We painted the bedroom together, arguing good-naturedly about whether the color was seafoam or sage. We rearranged furniture and combined our book collections and fought about whether the toilet paper should roll over or under. I won, obviously, over is correct. We also continued to grow into our relationship. Physically, we took our time, communicating every step of the way, making sure Marcus felt comfortable and empowered. Emotionally, we learned how to fight productively, how to give each other space while staying connected, how to be partners and not just friends who kissed. It wasn't always easy. Marcus still struggled sometimes with his identity, with internalized homophobia he was working to unlearn. I had my own insecurities, fears that I wasn't enough, that one day he'd wake up and realize he'd made a mistake. We both carried baggage from our pasts, wounds that needed healing. But we chose each other every single day. We chose honesty over comfort, communication over assumption, love over fear. 6 months in, Marcus surprised me by planning an entire day, a date that started with brunch at the cafe where we'd had our first study sessions 6 years ago, continued through a trip to the art museum I loved, and ended at the beach where we'd taken a road trip with friends in college. As we walked along the shore, shoes in hand, the sun setting over the water, Marcus stopped and turned to me. I wanted to bring you here because this is where I first realized, he said. Realized what? That I might be in love with you. It was 3 years ago. You were laughing at something Tyler said, and the sunset was in your hair, and you looked so happy, so alive. And I remember thinking that I wanted to make you look that happy all the time. I didn't understand what that meant then. I told myself it was just friendship, just caring about you, but I think, on some level I knew, I was just too scared to acknowledge it. My throat was tight with emotion. Marcus. Let me finish, he said, smiling. I've spent 3 years being scared, 3 years before that being oblivious, and the last 6 months learning what it means to be brave. You taught me that, Ethan. You taught me that love is worth the risk, that being yourself, even when it's terrifying, is worth it, that I deserve to be happy. You do deserve to be happy. I am happy because of you, with you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, and my heart stopped. Now, before you freak out, this isn't an engagement ring. We've only been officially together for 6 months, and I'm not that impulsive. I laughed, relief and curiosity mixing. Then what is it? He opened the box to reveal 2 matching silver rings, simple and elegant. Promise rings. A promise that no matter what challenges come, no matter how hard things get, we are in this together. A promise that I'm choosing you every day for as long as you'll have me. I couldn't speak, could barely see through the tears in my eyes. So, Ethan Park, Marcus said softly, will you wear my ring and let me wear yours? Will you keep being my person, my partner, my home? Yes, I managed, my voice breaking. Yes, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger, and I did the same for him, both of us laughing and crying. Then we were kissing on that beach where Marcus had first felt the stirrings of love, and the waves crashed around us, and the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold, and everything felt possible. I love you, Marcus whispered against my lips. I'm so glad I was brave enough to tell you. I'm glad you slept over that night, I whispered back. I'm glad it rained. I'm glad you couldn't keep pretending. I'm glad for all of it, because it led us here. Here, he repeated, pulling back to look at me, his smile brighter than the sunset. With you, where I belong. We stayed on that beach until the stars came out, talking about our future, the trips we wanted to take, the life we wanted to build, the family we'd create from friends and chosen bonds. We talked about maybe adopting a dog, about career dreams, about the possibility of moving to a bigger place someday. But more than the specifics, we talked about the foundation we'd built: trust, communication, friendship, and love. The kind of love that had survived years of silence, had bloomed in the space of honesty, and had been tempered and strengthened by the challenges we'd faced. The kind of love that could weather any storm. As we drove home that night, Marcus's hand in mine, our matching rings catching the streetlights, I thought about how that rainy night 6 months ago had felt like an ending and a beginning all at once. The end of hiding, of pretending, of loving from a distance. The beginning of everything we were still becoming. What are you thinking about? Marcus asked, catching me smiling. Just that I'd live that night over and over again, if it meant ending up here with you. Even the scary parts. Especially the scary parts, they made this sweeter. He brought my hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to my knuckles, to the ring he'd placed there. You're such a romantic. You love it. I do, he agreed, his smile soft in the dashboard light. I love you. I love you too, always. And as we pulled into our apartment complex, our home, the one we shared, the life we'd built together, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. For that rainy night, for Marcus's courage, for the love that had always been there, waiting for us to be brave enough to claim it. Some people spend their whole lives searching for home. I'd found mine in Marcus, in his laughter, his strength, his vulnerability, his love. And he'd found his in me. We'd found each other, finally, after years of circling around the truth. And now, holding hands as we walked up to our apartment, our future spread out before us like an unwritten story, I knew with absolute certainty that we'd never let go. This was just the beginning. The best was yet to come.